This is the Lifestyle Builders Podcast, Show 92, Promotions, Bundle Sales, and Membership Models, oh my, a Lifestyle Builders Q&A episode. Are you frustrated by a lack of momentum in your business? Tired of putting in long hours doing what everyone says you should and still not making money? Sounds like you're ready for Lifestyle Builders. We'll help you get back on track, taking action, and seeing results. Head over to joinlifestylebuilders.com today to get started.
Sorry.
Wow. So I eat bacon on Q&As, and apparently Ariana eats cookies.
Yep. I totally was trying to eat it fast
And then, of
because
course, doesn't she shove it into her mouth and then go live? And then, I'm going to call you Cookie Monster?
Is it bad that you guys that just saw me on the live the other night, I was totally eating a cookie then too?
So Ariana just informed me before this, because we recorded a podcast episode with a guy on sales, that I said, it's not always be closing, it's really always be caring. And Ariana came back and I said, it's always be
cookies.
cookieing. Yeah.
Cookies, no cookieing.
Cookieing. All right, so anyways, we got a handful of questions. I'm going to attempt to read them while Ariana types, and then we'll dive in. So first up is Brandy. She says, is there an optimal size for a paid membership? Can they be too big? I'm thinking of my business model for 2019, which is great. Love the fact that you're thinking about it already. And in order to keep the group affordable but profitable, it seems like you need to have a pretty big group. But then you'll lose some of the personal touch and visibility, which can be one of the benefits of a membership. Yes. All right, so I'm sure we will have lots of good advice for you on this. But the first thing that I want to share is just how to go about thinking about this process. So anytime we're doing something, I always start with the end in mind. So it's what is the end result that we're looking for, and then work backwards. So oftentimes we do that in terms of money. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not ultimately about money, but money is a way to kind of tell
it's an easy metric to measure.
Yeah. So for example, let's say that you're looking ahead at your business and you're looking to make $2,500 from this membership, right? So now what you can do is say, okay, so my target's $2,500. what kind of price point am I thinking for this, right? So if, of course, I'm going to now do math on here, but if you're going to say charge people $50 a month, you divide that out and you can figure out how many members. Where's your calculator?
On my phone
This
that I
should
don't
be your
have.
cue for running the numbers. So, but basically what you can do is then run those numbers and figure out, okay, if I have, a $2,500
right?
target, okay, thank you now.
Sorry, it just took me a minute.
So you're going to have 50 people in your membership. So what this will then allow you to do is say, okay, how does that feel? Like, does 50 seem like kind of the target number that I'm looking for, or does it seem too high or too low? And then what you can do is really play with the numbers. So are people willing to pay $50, or is it worth more to them, right? So maybe you'd rather have, to get that same $2,500, maybe you'd rather charge people $100 and have 25 of them, right? So what you can do from here is just start to model out what this would look like to basically get a feel for, if I was to put this in place, what would that look like? And then what would that mean from a support perspective, personal perspective, et cetera?
Yeah, and coming from the point that you were talking about, which I think is great to be thinking about it before you've started, is kind of looking at the model and the costs and the benefits of the different sizes. So say you do want to have a bigger group, maybe you want more recurring revenue from those members, you know that there's going to be extra costs there because you may have to hire a community manager. You're going to have to pay for some sort of software or platform to host your membership on, or to host trainings, or however you're going to model that out. And it's also going to cost you your time. So one of the things, a lot of people are, of course, I have the windows open because it's nice out, and this is what I get.
Didn't you just say
I closed the back one because the guy was sawing, and then I thought the front would be okay. Anywho, anytime you have a membership community, it's going to take a certain amount of your time. But what a lot of people love about memberships is that it doesn't really matter how big or how small it is. It usually is taking you about the same amount of time, because you're going to do, Q&As, or if you're doing strategy calls, if you're jumping into the group to answer questions, that all is going to take relatively around the same amount of time. If you have a big group of 100 people, or if you have a group of 25 to 50 people. So I think it's just kind of looking at, like Tom said, what's the goal of the group, of the paid membership, and then how are you thinking that will look for you on your end with your time and the amount of money that you want to put into it to run it, versus what are people looking to kind of get out of being a part of the membership that they're willing to pay and jump in.
Yeah, another thing I would recommend too, just in general, if your group is going to be a lower cost offer, I would recommend making sure that you got a more higher cost offer in place that's working first before you do the group. A couple reasons for this. One, you need to be making money to continue serving your business and your customers. So a membership or a recurring model is really good because every month you've got that recurring income coming in. The downfall is it takes a lot longer to build something like that up. So most people end up struggling because they jump right to this recurring model. And if you're charging low cost, like 50, 100, 200, you've got to get a lot of people in there to likely meet your income goals. Because remember, if we're going, like, let's say you want to bring home $5,000 a month, that means you have to sell $10,000 a month. If the only thing you're selling is this membership, it's going to take a long time to get there, because whatever that number works out to, you've now got to get that many more prospects or leads in your audience to convert a portion of them. So usually what I'm a fan of is having some sort of other core offer that you can charge more money for, getting that working, getting that set up so that you're getting people coming in. And then your risk at that point is having all your income from one source. So that's where you can start looking at, okay, with my business, where can I introduce a recurring model in to now start to spread some of my risk around and start every month with some of that recurring money coming in. The other thing I would say too, don't automatically assume because you're doing a membership that it has to be low cost. Mm-hmm. So for example, there's memberships or masterminds, whatever you want to call them out there, where it's a group program. It's more intimate because there's only maybe 25 or 50 people in there, but people are charging thousands of dollars a month for this. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of it comes back to who you want to serve, how much value and how big of a transformation you're providing for the people you serve, and then how this model fits into your overall business model.
Well, yeah, and a great example is Shane and Jocelyn of Flip Lifestyle. Their membership actually costs $99 a month, and they have, I don't know how many people in there. They have lots of people in there, and they're barely or rarely ever in their group, like their forum with their members. So they have, obviously they've shifted that and adjusted that as they've grown it. But that's just an example of there are people willing to put the money out there to be a part of a paid membership if they see the value in what you're offering, and just make sure that you're kind of testing that out.
Well, and so let's even go back with them, since you brought them up. They didn't start with a recurring paid membership. Their first business was actually selling one-off courses on how to, for like a librarian. Mm-hmm. So they were selling these one-off courses, and they made a lot of money doing that. As they then spread out their income streams, this was where they introduced this, which was originally a higher-end program, which they then converted into a membership, essentially by offering monthly payments for that. Yeah. So that's the other thing to do, too. Think about, like, part of a membership is that sometimes people fear because they have to commit to that every month. So you might have a program, maybe you want people in there for a year. So you offer this year-long program at X amount of dollars, or people can pay monthly for the program. Well, you position it as a program rather than a monthly membership. Mm-hmm. So there's different ways to do that as well. But that's been a little bit of our experience with this.
Yes. All right. So I know Dan's live, so good thing because his question is next.
All right. Perfect. Hey, Dan, what's going on?
I'll tag you anyways.
So Dan says, how do you prioritize what to work on? Ashley helped me write down all the different projects and work towards the one thing that is most pressing and will produce the greatest impact. Curious to how you prioritize your to-do lists. So first thing I would say is high five Ashley. Listen to her, because that's exactly what it is. It ultimately comes down to figuring out what your goals are and what you want to achieve. What that will do is essentially give you a container and a filter, because then when you look at all the potential things that you could do or you think you need to do, the first question you ask is this going to get me closer to that goal? If the answer is no, it's immediately an off the table. We're not going to look at it. If the answer is yes, then what you want to do is essentially prioritize those by what's going to give you the biggest impact. Now, there's some things that you just need to do to, let's say, keep your business going. Mm-hmm. So you're going to want to do those things, but you want to get those to a point where they take a little bit of time or they're off your plate. And then what you want to focus on is ultimately judging or prioritizing that stuff by what's important and what's urgent. And usually you're going to take care of the things that are important and urgent first, because those things are going to drive your business forward and they need to be done by a certain time frame. But then what you want to do is actually, every time something's urgent, reflect back and say, why was this urgent, and what can I change in my business so it now becomes important but not urgent? And you want to get your business to a point where you're always working on important things, but they're not urgent or due right away, so that you have time and flexibility. Then as time goes on, anything that's not urgent and not important, you're going to just get rid of, because you probably will never get to it and you shouldn't be doing it anyways. And then things that are urgent but not important, that's where you want to look to get those things off of your plate. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's basically what Ashley said, brain dump like Ariana loves to do.
It's my favorite
Prioritize thing. Those, and then really limit how much you're working on, because you're going to progress so much faster if you work on one or two things and move those forward rather than splitting your focus across the bunch.
Well, and one thing that we found, because I know you're talking about some different projects here, because you have different business segments. So part of the struggle is, okay, well, I've got these 3 different projects that are 3 different business segments, and each of them has important tasks. One of the ways that's really helped me prioritize and be more productive is to cut down on the context switching. So instead of trying to do 3 very important tasks from all 3 different businesses on the same day, see if you can start blocking out some of your time and stick with the same business and do all of those important tasks right then and there. And then if you switch to the next business segment, you do all of those important tasks right then and there. Because, obviously our businesses are very different. So it's also a big context switch when I go from something in the real estate to something in the wine and liquor store to something in the online business. And it takes my brain longer to kind of dive in and get ready to work And then also a lot of times if I'm hopping around from task to task within those businesses throughout the day, I'm losing time just by like having to switch. Okay, now I'm over here and I'm thinking about these things. And oftentimes when you do that, you think of like more things you need to do. Whereas if you do the brain dump and prioritize all the business segments, you are picking those tasks and then just take them and put them right on the calendar. If you have blocks of time, take all of the tasks from one business segment and block them in so that you know you're going to get all those important tasks done and you don't have to freak out about the other important tasks because you've blocked time out for those as well.
Yeah, and I mean, if you haven't gone through it yet, part of what we do is we have this different cadence of doing these meetings, setting goals and then kind of checking back in on them. And so we'll put a link up in here as well, but essentially once a year we do annual planning where we reflect back on the last year, we look at the upcoming year, and we plan that out. Then every 90 days we do a similar planning for the last 90 days. Once a month we kind of do a check-in on our 90-day goals, but really the key is every week we reflect on the previous week, take a lesson learned, and then we plan the next week. And every day we just spend a couple minutes in the morning looking at what do we got to get done that day and prioritizing. So when you implement a system like this, it helps you not only get clear on the goal, but it helps you focus on what you should be focused on, and then also allows you to check in and adjust along the way.
Mm-hmm.
The one other thing I'll say is that if you're not using any sort of metrics in your business, it's probably a little more difficult to help figure out what you should work on. So typically what we'll do is with goals and then anything else that's important for the business, we'll put a metric around it. And then by reviewing those metrics on, let's say, a weekly basis, you could say, are we on track, ahead or behind? And then based on that, what changes should we make? So for example, let's just say you want to make a certain amount of money and you're going to make that by, selling this affiliate course. You can check in and basically say, well, in order to make this much over 90 days, this is how much I got to make each month, and then this is likely what I have to make each week. So every week you can then check in and say, okay, have I made the amount of money that I need to or not? And then if you're ahead of schedule, that's like, great, let's keep doing more of that. If you're on track, you could say, all right, I'm on track, but is that going to continue on the upcoming weeks? And then if you're behind, you take a look and say, well, what's not working and what do I got to change in the upcoming weeks to make sure that I'm getting back on track? So by doing like all of those meetings, it's going to help you to not only know where you're at, but then help you prioritize the upcoming weeks. For example, if you're not getting enough people in, then your focus in the upcoming week should be on lead generation. But if you're getting enough people in and they're just getting step 2 and they're not converting into customers, then your focus the upcoming week is on step 2 and looking at how you increase conversion rates.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, you just said step stuck backward. I don't know. My brain got caught on that. The other thing I was going to say too is I know one of the difficulties with when you're in the work and when you're doing stuff, it's hard to stay prioritized and focused because you often have all of these little things coming in. Maybe you have these thoughts or these ideas popping in and out, or something urgent comes in and you're like, oh, I got to take care of this. The best thing that I've found and that we both use is to have just a plain sheet of paper next to you where you can jot these things down and keep track of them so that you don't feel like you have to immediately step away from what you're doing to take care of something. You have this like filter of, okay, is this something that I actually need to take care of right this second, or things are going to fall apart? Or can I just jot it down, and after I'm finished with this task and the things that I need to do for the day, then I can jump over there and take care of that. And it's also good because I think our brain goes crazy thinking that we're going to forget all these awesome ideas. So we get those little distractions, then we're off researching something or looking on Facebook. When if you just kind of log that in, you know that it's there. You're not going to lose those ideas, and you can kind of check back in with them at a future time.
Yeah, so we have a copy of our daily planner in the portal. So if you guys check that out, it's one of the worksheets. And we're still evolving this, so any feedback is great. But one of the things we have on there is, like Ariana said, we have a section for new tasks. So the way we use that is any new tasks that come up, we write it there, and you'll see right next to it, there's a checkbox for urgent and a checkbox for important. So if it's not urgent and important, we've got it captured, and we'll reflect on it at the end of the week. If it is urgent and important, then we can kind of evaluate the day and say, can we fit this in? Does this have to trump something else? But But to Ariana's point, by getting that written down, you're not going to lose it. And then if it's not urgent and important, then you're not going to work on it right now, but you know you're going to come back and check on that later.
Yep, he said he got a call right when we were addressing his questions. He's going to watch the replay. But we're on your second question now. So that is about the LLCs, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so question number 2. Do you have one LLC to be sort of an umbrella for your different online business segments? I understand one LLC for real estate property is wise. I'm moving to one LLC for my different income streams for my side hustle to ease the paperwork and bookkeeping, since none of them are very risky. And then on this topic, with implementing Profit First, should I stick to 5 checking accounts for all the business income and then use financial classes in QuickBooks to tag the business segments? So first off, we are not attorneys and we are not CPAs, so definitely chat with them, but we'll give you our experience. So in general, you're going to want a different entity for different types of businesses. Usually what that comes down to is risk as well. So for example, we have 3 very different businesses: real estate investing business, wine and liquor store, coaching and training. Each of those have their own business entity. Mm-hmm. Now, with our real estate business, for example, it would be smart for us to create multiple entities, like, for example, multiple LLCs, and divvy the property up there so that if one entity got sued, the other ones would be basically insulated from that. When it comes to all of your different online businesses or your different side hustles, without knowing what all of them are, they could probably be combined. And saying that because what they might be is just different business lines or income streams for your main business. Mm-hmm. So I would guess offhand that you could probably have one entity, especially because you said they're not risky. And then what I would do from a Profit First perspective is have one income account where all the money from each of those side or each of those streams comes into, and then you run the rest of Profit First the way that you would normally. Mm-hmm. And then I think that
as far as QuickBooks, you would definitely want to break them out by class. So if there's one of the things that we've done for the real estate business is there's a class for each property, and then there's a class for general purchases for the business. So you could do that with your businesses if there's like a service or a software that you use for all 3 of them or however many there are. You could have that be in a general class because they each would be spending a portion of that fee. And if there's specific tools or services or things that you use for each of the segments of your business, then you would want to make sure that you've got those expenses underneath that particular class, as well as marking the income under the correct class, so that when your accountant looks at your QuickBooks, they can pull out the report. I can't think of the word. They can pull out the report at the end of the year and basically show you an overview of each of the different segments within the business to see where's their gaps and, you know, kind of what are the things you need to look at in each of those segments.
Yeah, well, and so for anyone that's not familiar with this, and if we're talking gibberish, essentially what those classes are basically just different ways to bucket your income. So, like, for example, we have income from one-on-one coaching. That's one bucket. We have income from lifestyle builders. That's a different bucket.
We have affiliate income.
Yep. So what you guys can do is basically bucket your income, or what QuickBooks calls classes, and then you can run reports to then say, all right, I made $100,000 this year. Let me see the breakdown of where that money came from.
Mm-hmm. And where your expenses have broke down as well, which is good.
Yep.
All right. Awesome.
All right, sweet. Yeah, so Dan, it sounds like you're on the right path with those.
All right, next up we've got Justin. And he is asking about 100th episode.
Okay, so Justin says, not sure if this is appropriate for Q&A, but they've got the 100th podcast episode coming up, and they're looking for, I think this is one question.
I'm pretty sure it's one question.
Celebration ideas, developing interview skills, developing a bundle or a box like ClickFunnels does. Thoughts? All right. You want to go first? You want me to?
I can go first.
Okay.
So first thought is giveaways tend to go over really well when you have like a big Hello.
And Justin's
He's
on.
there.
Beautiful.
Okay, good. He can clarify and make sure that that was just one question.
Yeah, so Justin, is that one question? Are those different questions? Let us know.
But yeah, so giveaways tend to do really well because everyone loves to get something for free. So a lot of times you'll see people hyping things up and it's part of the giveaway. So they have people share on social or like, one idea is like share your favorite episode from the podcast and have like a special hashtag when you share it, or take a screenshot of you sharing it and send it to you guys, and like you're going to enter people with the best reason for their favorite episode to win a prize, because this is the easiest way to get people excited about jumping in and doing something, taking an action. So I think for me, that would be my biggest suggestion, is to have some sort of giveaway as a way to hype up and celebrate your 100th episode.
Yeah, so if you think about this, your 100th episode is a milestone. And so definitely tease it out and kind of build it up. So you want a bunch of people to listen into this. And then on that, you want to be able to announce something or give something away.
Mm-hmm.
What I like to do in a lot of these types of things is, one, reflect. So you've had 100 episodes. Talk to how you got to this point, because people might have joined you at different parts of the journey. And then, what I like to do is call out some of like the most popular episodes or the favorite episodes. And what that allows you to do is somebody might have joined you at episode 75, and they've listened to the last 25, but they missed the first 75. So if you call out some of those other ones, it's going to get people in your audience to go back and either listen to the first time or re-listen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good way to promote your existing content already, especially because you're driving a bunch of people to this episode. You're going to get more people then that listen out beyond that. And then what I like to do, you can definitely do a giveaway, something like that for people listening. If you want to do a promotion, that's a great time to do it. Then you can also lay the future tracks. So, hey, we had 100 episodes. Here's what's going on, and here's what we got planned, or here's what's upcoming for you guys. That gets the people that came and listened to this episode to then want to listen and engage and subscribe going forward. So utilize this as probably one of your more popular episodes, really build up the hype, and then work on getting people to subscribe and come back and want to come back for episodes beyond 100.
Mm-hmm. And I know you guys have had a ton of guests on. One thing that I would do is reach back out to every person that you've had on as a guest and have them, hey, we are hitting 100 episodes. We're doing all of these special things because of that. Ask people to reshare their episode with their audience, or to share your 100th episode with their audience in celebration. You could make one of those cool little podcast badges where it's like, I've been featured on the Legendary Marriage podcast, to give that to people so that they can share that out. Offer something in exchange for them jumping on to this promotion with you, maybe a collaboration of some sort, but get people involved, because everyone that was on your show, I'm sure, really loved being on your show, because you guys are hilarious and fun. So, reach back out to them. I'm sure people are not going to be like, no, we're not going to reshare that episode.
Well, and like you said, so part of, if you just reach back out and they share their episode, it's not necessarily going to get people to the 100th episode. But like you said, if you do a reunion of guests and maybe reach out to 5 or 10 of your most popular guests or your favorite guests and give them to just do a clip,
mm-hmm.
Now when they share the 100th episode, they're a part of it. So they're more willing to share it, and it's going to be directly to that episode you're looking for. Like you said, you can always re-bring on maybe your most popular guest, bring them on for another special show. You could also bring on a new guest,
mm-hmm.
Somebody that's maybe a big name or something like that to draw people in. But the key thing around this is that, like I said, this is a milestone for you, and I think it's something you're going to want to continue to promote. So as you do that, look for hitting it from multiple angles like we discussed.
Yeah, and not just reaching out to old guests, but also reaching out to other podcasters as well, because in the podcast community, I know that is something that people are always willing to jump on and do, is help a fellow podcaster out by sharing their 100th episode, or by sharing their special promotion. So we're in the podcast movement group, and they will often have threads where people can follow each other. They'll often have like, hey, who's got something big, a big win to share, and stuff like that. So I would definitely look into getting some support from other podcasters as well.
Yeah, and if you guys are doing any other guest podcast, it's a great opportunity to promote this episode, because you're building all this awesomeness into this episode. And then, like I said, even pushing people back in the future to this, because from this episode, it'll get them introduced to the podcast. It'll give reflection and other episodes that go on. So if you're doing any sort of guest podcasting or whatever, you can use promo back to this episode.
Mm-hmm. All right. So he said it was my bag of cat's crazy brain combining 9 different questions.
Okay. So if you got other questions, let us know. In the meantime, we're going to move on to Angela.
Yep.
So Angela says, what do you think about getting someone, what do you think would get somebody excited to promote my bundle sale as an affiliate? I'm paying 75% commissions. It's by all my club members, and I'm going to be promoting the club itself very heavily during the sale and after. So recurring commissions of 50% on the monthly and 30% on the yearly if they send customers that join the club. Any suggestions on reaching out, what would attract you, etc.? I want this to be a huge success for my members. I have almost 40 people who have added products to the bundle, all members, as it's a members-only bundle, and I'm giving members 100% commission on the sales they make. Basically, list building and money making during the sale. All right, so first thing I'd say is 75% commission. Great. Mm-hmm. And I love the way you have that set up so that they get rewarded, and then obviously you get recurring off of that, which is huge. One question I have offhand is just how much money is that? Because usually making sure that people are getting compensated enough is going to be key.
Yeah, and just spelling out what that means. Yeah,
because sometimes, and like oftentimes what we'll do is we'll say, here's the percent or here's the money you make, and if you sell these different amounts, here's how much money you could make. So it's kind of laying that out for them so they don't have to do the math.
Yep.
In addition to that, when you go to promote this, the number one thing I look for is finding the right audience. And usually what we'll do when we look for partners is somebody that has a pretty big audience. They're serving the same audience. They're serving our ideal customers, but they're doing it from a different way. And oftentimes the partner will actually have a pain or a problem because they're serving the audience. The audience is asking for something else, but that person doesn't necessarily do it. Mm-hmm. So if you can come in and basically show this partner, hey, your audience is looking for this, you don't do this, I offer this. If people are looking for that and you promote this, you're going to make this much money. Plus, you're going to continue to serve your audience because this is serving them in a way that they don't have right now.
Yep. One idea is there's a community that has quite a few people in it, the Boss Mom community. I know Sherry is in it, and I think Brandy's in it as well. They have a collaboration-specific thread. I think it's on like Thursdays, where they encourage people to post up somebody that they're looking to collaborate with, and people read through and can connect with those people. So I would say look for in other groups as well if there's a way to collaborate or put up a request to collaborate, and you can define kind of what the audience is that you're looking for in that person, then people can come to you and you can get the interest from that way.
Yeah, the other thing too is really making it as easy as possible for affiliates. So giving them images that they can use, giving them sample copy that they can use. So it doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to copy it, but now instead of me having to like write an email or write a post from scratch, I have what you already talked about, and then I can just modify that. Mm-hmm. So when you're doing that, make sure that it talks about the benefits. It can highlight the features, but really make sure that when they're then sharing that or using that to build their copy, it gives the people that would potentially buy everything that they'd be looking for. But it just makes it so much easier for your affiliates to be able to promote it.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm trying to think if I had anything else for her.
Okay, let us know if there's any questions. Otherwise, we'll jump to Monique. So Monique says, when you have multiple small products, how do you create a promotion calendar for them? Or is it best to have a sale on the entire shop? I'm trying to map out my evergreen funnels, and my membership will now remain open, but not sure what's promote first.
Wow.
I know people shy away from the membership and prefer to buy what they need in the shop. All right, so the way I look at this is when you have multiple items, you want to highlight one at a time and then do a promo on that. So I'll just give you another example. So we have a wine and liquor store. We have, thousands of products. One of the things we do is have different promos on different things. So one of our promos is we have a wine of the month. So this is, we pick one wine every month and we offer like a 20% discount on it. But we feature this right on the counter. Everyone can see it. And we're looking to sell a lot more of that and to get people to try it because they're getting it at a discount and then come back and buy more in the future. So 12 times a year, people get different wines of the month. We then do different promos for different customer segments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, so holidays, yep. So every holiday has its own promo, and we might feature products that are good for that holiday, right? So Irish whiskey, you know, at certain times of the year.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yep. But then we also target different demographics. So our sales, like our slowest day is like either Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm. At Tuesday, because Monday's senior discount.
Yep. So Monday, what we did was we put senior discount day in. So we drive a segment of our market in on Mondays for that. So it's not specific to a product, but specific to a customer segment. But the reason that I say all this is because if you just have an entire sale, you can only do that so many times. And it's going to, I think, devalue and ultimately make you less money.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can feature a specific product or a specific group or segment, it's only going to attract those types of people in. If they end up buying something else, they're buying it at full price, which is what you want.
Yeah, I think definitely for you, if you've got multiple products, you have the option to do features. Maybe you have a monthly product featured on your website or on the homepage, so that's what people are seeing right away. You might have different types of products and you might want a segment. So if people are coming in a certain segment, they're getting a certain product that they get showed first. I would say for the membership, if people are typically buying a product first and that's the way that they want to buy things, the membership could be something that you offer to them later on. So maybe you have a little bit of a nurture sequence after they've purchased from you, and you put the membership out as a product afterwards. And I definitely think featuring is a really good way to go, because then you could do more of a calendar where you pick ahead of time, here's each product that's going to be featured. Everything's available in your shop at any time, but the specific feature, maybe it has a special bonus attached to it. Maybe you have a discount or whatever that looks like. And that way you're going to have a little bit clearer view from your end about what you're promoting, when, how you're promoting it, and having those nurture sequences off the back end to keep people coming back and buying other products or buying into your membership.
So the other thing I want to touch on is you said you're trying to map out your evergreen funnels. This is a big challenge that I think a lot of people have, is when you go to make an evergreen funnel, or basically something that's going to be there, you want to make sure that you truly understand the customer journey and how somebody's going to become aware that they have a problem, and then how they're going to search for a solution to that problem, and all the nurturing that's going to need to be done to ultimately get them to the point where they become a customer. So we'll put a link. We actually did a podcast episode that was really good on how to walk through this customer journey. We used an example of like Ariana wanting to buy a pool.
Yep.
But every product that you have, or every one of these funnels that you set up, what you want to do is truly understand that process and mindset of somebody that would buy, because when you set it up evergreen, you essentially need to make sure that all those steps are checked and you're guiding them through that process. So as you start getting more prospects coming in and becoming leads, your evergreen funnel nurtures them through that process to go from lead to customer.
Lisa had a follow-up question to that. Do you need to have them on sale to be a featured item? No, not at all.
So here's the thing. So we'll go back to the liquor store. My father at one point had all these products that weren't selling. And so he was going to put them in a discount basket. And one of the times when he went to do this, he forgot to actually change the prices. So he put them in the discount basket.
They weren't actually discounted.
And he called me afterwards, and he's like, oh, crap, I forgot that I didn't change that. You know, should we go change it? And I said, well, no, leave them in there and see what happens. A bunch of people ended up buying these because they were in the discount basket, but it was the same prices on the shelf. So psychologically, people that were looking for a discount went to that basket, but the prices were the same. So yeah, if you're doing a featured item, you don't necessarily have to discount it. You can just feature it, because if you've got 100 products, somebody might not know about that.
Or they might not be able to choose one out of the 100.
Correct. Now let's think about a physical store. If you go down an aisle, there's a whole bunch of products, but at the end of the aisle is what's called the end cap. And there's featured products on the end cap that stand out from everything else. So you can definitely feature an item just to let people know about it, without doing a discount.
Yeah, and I mean, you can make it fun and have a reason for why this is the featured item of the month. Maybe you have a little write-up next to it, and that's, you know, people see, oh, that's a featured item, and oh, this is what it does, or this is how it's going to help me. That's all you need. I mean, you don't have to use discounts, and oftentimes it's better if you don't, because then you're not training your audience into always waiting for something to be discounted before they buy it. Now, that being said, you can offer discounts, but what I would do is, instead of offering a discount on one product, if you want to offer a discount because you know people will purchase, you do a bundle. So they can purchase the featured item, but if they purchase the featured item plus something else, they get a discount with the two of them.
Or with that, you buy the featured item, but you get a discount on your next purchase.
Yes.
Because now what that does is ultimately brings people back or lets them spend more money. So, for example,
I always have to go buy something else if I get a special discount because I don't want to waste it.
Yeah, well, like one of the things we put in, so part of this is thinking about actually going back to that customer journey. Once people buy, that's really only step 3. Step 4 is you want to give them a great experience. And then step 5 is you want them to be so happy that they either buy more and or they refer other people. So like one of the things we did at our store, and our store is a really good example apparently. We put a customer loyalty program in. So we knew that at our store, the average customer spends $21. We also knew that if we could get them to spend $25, that would increase how much our store made by over $100,000. So we put a customer loyalty program in that said,
spend
if you
25,
spend 25 you'll get a stamp on here. And when you get a certain number of stamps, you'll get a discount coupon, but you can't use that discount coupon on this purchase. You got to use it on next purchase. So what that then makes people do is spend more money each time they come in the store, plus they get this discount coupon. And what a lot of people do is they save up so that they do a massive purchase when they have their discount. That gives us a nice bump in sales and usually has people buy more than they would have normally bought. So if you look at this, what you want to do is say, how do I not only deliver the customer on here, but how do I make sure that either they come back, or maybe you say, thanks for buying. If you share this with a friend, both you and your friend will both get a discount next time. That way you're having them, you're promoting for them to come back and become a customer, and they've already bought from you, so they're more likely. Plus, now you're having them share that out to bring new people into your world.
Yeah, she said, I send 2 emails a week. Do you feature this item in each email or at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month? I would say you want to at least feature it in one of the 2 emails every single week, because you want people to be seeing that over and over again. And often, I mean, there's only a certain percentage of people opening your emails every week, so the more you have it in there, the better off.
Well, I was going to say, and depending on what you're doing with this, if these are on a schedule, you can get people used to the schedule, right? So people know that we have a wine of the month, and people are looking for that wine of the month when we switch to the next month. So if that's important, you can have some consistency there. If it's not important, then it doesn't really matter. But usually you want to mention it a couple times because, like you said, people may not open your emails all the time, or they may miss it, or they may need to see it a couple times.
Yeah, so I mean, if you think about it, if you send it once a week, they're getting reminded 4 times a month that you have a special featured product. I don't think that's too many times to remind people like, hey, this is the special featured product. You could put it in the bottom of every single email and just have it update month to month. I know like oftentimes people have a very specific newsletter that they send out with a format. I think you could easily put a, not like a sidebar, but a section in your email for your featured product, and like remind people like, hey, I'm putting this new thing in place. Here's where the featured product's going to be every single month, and they'll know to start looking for it.
So Lisa makes an interesting point that I want to chat on. She said that it's so hard to think in brick and mortar thinking with a digital store, but yes, totally applicable. I want to challenge you guys to look all around you, not just at digital businesses and how everyone does internet marketing, but how regular businesses work. Because like you could think about your business as a regular business, as a brick and mortar business, and just think about some of the things we talked about, right? When somebody comes to, like when you go to check out at a regular store, what do you experience there, right? So there's a cart that you have to check out, and then what's all around you when you check out? Well, gum and candy and all these other things, because they're trying to get you to do add-on purchases so that instead of you spending $21, you're now buying 1 or 2 more things and you're spending $25. Well, guess what? If people have all these customers coming in and they're getting each one of them to spend $3 more, that now adds a lot of revenue to you. So there's all these principles that apply in businesses across the board, but most people when they're online, they don't think about them. And that's actually been one of the cool things about us. Our first 2 businesses were completely offline.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll hear oftentimes we'll bring strategies that work in those businesses into an online business.
Mm-hmm.
So start thinking about this for your business, and you'll come up with these different ideas that are going to differentiate you from somebody else that's maybe selling the same or similar things online.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Do we have, I think that was our last question.
You guys have any other questions? Anyone that's on live, let us know.
What the hell are they doing outside?
All right, apparently Ariana does not like the construction that's going on outside our house.
I didn't mind it for the first 5 minutes, but it's been almost an hour now.
I think you need like some woosah. Woosah.
No, I love having the windows open, and it's like so disappointing when you open the windows for the first time when it's nice out and you get the fresh air, and then all of a sudden everyone and their brother is doing loud things outside your house.
Okay, we're gonna get Ariana a massage after we get through this. All right, so it looks like that's all the questions for this week.
Oh, good. Okay. See, they can barely hear it. It's just annoying me. That's all.
I was going to say, and that's the other thing. I don't think you realize these mics pick up us, but not all the background noise. So half the time when you say something, people listening have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, good to know, but it's driving me nuts. So now you all know.
But with that, the other thing I want to say, too, is a lot of this stuff that we're talking about we're actually diving deeper in the book. So we're going to finish the book writing this week. And then what you'll see is that we're actually expanding out on a lot of the trainings and stuff that we have in Lifestyle Builders in the training portal based on some of the updates that we've made for the book. So you guys will start seeing more of this coming out in the training portal.
Yes, and we got the whole first portion off to the editor finally.
First portion's off to the editor. Second portion will be done by the end of this week, and then we can get our lives back.
For a little while at least. All right, you guys. Been great. Happy Q&A, and we will see you all later.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you know another entrepreneur who may benefit from hearing this show, we would so appreciate you being a good friend and sharing it with them. Are you dreaming of a life of financial freedom and more time to spend with your loved ones? Want to build your business to support that dream? You need Lifestyle Builders, a mentorship program designed to meet you where you are and give you strategic and custom guidance so you can build the business you need for the life you crave. Become a lifestyle builder at joinlifestylebuilders.com. Are you a Lifestyle Builders podcast fan? We'd love to hear from you. Head on over to tomandariana.com/iTunes and leave us a review.